Lucy's actually a big Auburn fan. She went to Auburn. Her husband, though, went to Alabama, so it's a house divided.
It is. He takes it a lot more serious than I do. So.
Right, which is most of the case, most of the time. All right, Lucy, we've got a great recipe. You know, school has started back, and I know with my niece and nephew, always looking for recipes that you can cook and maybe reheat the next day if you've got practice going on, football practice or something. This is a pretty good recipe for it.
Yeah, this is great. It's perfect for leftovers, and it's perfect for make ahead too. So you can put it together and
freeze it?
Freeze it.
Good
You can put it together and cook it a couple days later. With school starting, you're exactly right. Moms and dads are
looking to make it easy, Lucy.
Yes, for sure. And this one is a Mexican tortilla casserole. Everybody loves tacos, especially kids. This will get a lot of vegetables into their system along with a lot of protein.
Ooh, and I see lots of colors here. That's usually a good indication of lots of vegetables.
It is. We are going to start with a little bit of olive oil in our pan and diced up 1 red onion, 1 green bell pepper, a red, a yellow, 1 jalapeno, and a couple of cloves of garlic just chopped up real fine.
Now, Lucy, you chop up vegetables and they look like this. When I chop up vegetables, it's not as pretty. I don't understand.
Well, if you aren't the best chopper, which some people don't like to chop, you can totally rough chop them and throw them in a food processor. That will speed up your time on chopping a little bit. And the good thing about this recipe is they don't have to be perfect, but if you can aim to get them about the same size, so they cook at about the same time, that would be great. And this we have it on pretty high heat, medium high, and we'll let these vegetables cook for about 5 minutes.
They smell really good. I smell those peppers.
Yeah, already. And this is, you know, already reminding you of fajitas and Mexican food. And to this, we are going to wilt down 8 ounces of fresh spinach. I have that already chopped. It's in the refrigerator because I want to keep it cold until I put it in here. Okay. So once this goes for about 5 minutes, we're going to add in that spinach, which again is going to give us lots of nutrients. Some children don't like spinach, so if we can chop it up and get it in here.
They don't know. They don't know. Don't tell them.
Yes, and then, you know, it'll also add bright green freshness to our dish.
Now, Lucy, a question with the vegetables. If someone doesn't like spinach or if someone doesn't like something that we've added here, would it make a huge difference to leave it out?
No, not at all. If you don't care for onions, of course, just omit those. And that's a really good point. Sometimes when we're reading recipes and seeing things being prepared, we completely turn off if we don't like a certain ingredient. So feel free to kind of alter your recipes so that you can bring new things to your family and your children for sure. So we're going to add a couple of seasonings. We have 1½ teaspoons of salt. We have some chili powder, some cumin, a little bit of paprika, and dried oregano.
So we're going to have all kinds of different tastes going on here.
Yeah, and this are some very familiar things that you would find in those dried seasoning packets in the grocery store. And of course, you can buy one of those that you're used to buying, but this, you can control the salt, you can control what's going in there, and also it's always nice to be able to use up some of those spices in your cabinet.
Right.
And so we're going to let this go for a couple more minutes, and then we're going to add our corn and our black beans to that too.
Okay. Well, good. This looks great, Lucy, and we're going to keep working on these vegetables. And of course, if you want to follow along, or hey, you want to make this tonight for your family, go ahead and get it going, or this week, going to be perfect for that with everyone in school and work. Check it out on VoxNTV.com under the Studio 10 recipe. Joe, I'm really excited because I think this is, I'm going to ask Lucy if this can be my lunch today.
Yeah, it can.
Sounds good. Maybe she'll hook you up. Yeah. That's a great plan. We want to talk about what's going on in the kitchen today. What are we working on?
We are working on a Mexican tortilla casserole. Kids back in school, something you can put together ahead of time, freeze it, or have some leftovers. So we have 3 bell peppers, red, yellow, and green, chopped up in here with a red onion, a jalapeno, and a couple cloves of garlic. So we let this go on medium-high heat for about 5 minutes to soften up in a little bit of olive oil. And this is 8 ounces of fresh spinach, and I just kind of did a rough chop on this, and that way it will go all throughout the dish. As you know, when spinach cooks down, it gets really, really small. This is going to sink down to almost nothing. So chopping it up will help it kind of go all throughout your dish. And this will just take a couple minutes to wilt down. And before I started all these vegetables, I just took a pound of ground beef. You can use chuck or sirloin or whatever kind you want. And I just browned that and then took it out and put it in a bowl and then put these vegetables into the same pan. So you don't have to dirty up 2 dishes.
And another neat thing you did too in the first segment is that you created your own spices, so to speak.
Yeah.
You didn't use a seasoning mix, but you used just things that you'll have around the house.
Yeah, that's a good point. To these vegetables already cooking, we have the chili powder, paprika, cumin, oregano, and a little bit of salt. And so that'll just hang out and we'll see that spinach go down. And so after we browned this ground beef and took it out, I'm going to add about a cup of salsa to this. I didn't put any flavorings in this ground beef, and I'm just using a jarred salsa here today. You could use a taco sauce, you could use a fresh salsa or some that you made, whatever you like. So I'm just going to use this, and we're going to reserve the other part for when we are building our casserole here. So we have that, we have this, and then one more step just in preparation. The creaminess is going to come from a little bit of sour cream in here, and also we're going to use a little bit of cheese. But this casserole is more vegetables. It's more, you know, with a little bit of ground beef. I mean, the ratio of the beef to the vegetables, you know, is very good. A lot of times you get it and it's all cheese and all meat. So this is just going to be a little bit better for us. And we're only going to use 1 cup of sour cream in this whole thing. So to cut a little bit of this, you know, some of the flavors in here, we're going to bring a little bit of acidity. And of course, when you're thinking Mexican, you're thinking lime. So we're just going to do the zest of a lime and the juice, and then once those vegetables cook down a little more, we'll add our corn and our beans, and we'll be ready to put this thing together.
Sounds good. And we were talking about the Seagrass Festival earlier on Dolphin Island. You can always stop by the Greers on Dolphin Island. And how many locations do you guys have now?
We have 31 locations, and our store, our Greer's Old Bay Market, right there at Bailey's Corner on your way to Dolphin Island. It's a great stop. We're having awesome Labor Day sales in all of our stores this weekend. So pick up everything you need for the festival, because it's kind of the last stop before you get to the island.
That's right. Yeah, that's a great plan. Make a plan to, on your way there for the weekend, stop and get all your supplies and everything you need. Maybe you want to pick up this recipe as well. You can do that. But I'll tell you what, we're at this process now. We'll come back and check on it in just a little while to see how it turns out, guys.
Lucy and I talking about weekend plans. Of course, it's the big Labor Day weekend coming up. Greer's ads just came out today, so people can go ahead and plan their meals for the weekend. Your ads usually drop every Wednesday?
Yep, exactly. You can go on to Greers.com and all of our 31 stores around there, so you can pick the location closest to you and find what is going to be on sale. Lots of great stuff for the Labor Day weekend, of course. Ribs, steaks, chicken wings.
The store on the way to Dolphin Island I've stopped at a few times. Also, we were live at your Fairhope store just last week giving out hurricane tracking charts.
Yes.
And they can get our hurricane tracking charts at your Greer's locations too.
Yep, they should be up at the checkouts with the cashiers.
Just lots of stuff to do at Greer's. All right, we're finishing up this recipe. We just added the corn and the black beans. We have the spinach in there as well.
Yep, we have our onion, red, yellow, and green bell peppers sauteed in here with the jalapeno and some garlic. We put that in a little bit of olive oil, and then we did our spice mixture. We had chili powder and cumin and paprika, dried oregano, and we had some salt in there. And then I just added a couple more things. I had 1 can of the black beans, and I drained those and rinsed those off. Black beans, well, any canned beans, they have a lot of salt on them, and since we are adding our own seasonings in, I just rinsed that off. And then I had some frozen corn. That was just a cup and a half of that. I just let that thaw. Of course, if you had fresh corn, you could totally use that.
Yeah.
And so that is done, and you can see all the beautiful colors and lots of good stuff for us in there. And we also, before we cooked our vegetables, we took a pound of ground beef. I usually use chuck. You could use round or sirloin. And I browned that. And then I added just a cup of our salsa to that, any kind of salsa you want. And then our last component was our sour cream. I just took 8 ounces of sour cream and I put the zest and juice of a lime in there. So that's going to kind of brighten things up.
Yeah.
So now we are ready to assemble. And you and I were talking before about doing this ahead of time. You can freeze it. You can have leftovers after you cook it. It's just kind of really versatile, and with activities going on.
And yeah, if you missed our first cooking segment, Lucy was talking about freezing this, all you parents on the go with everybody back in school. This is great for that. We have the recipe on our website, fox10tv.com. Real quick, Lucy, any tips as we wrap this up?
The only tip is to, all the directions are on here, so we're just going to layer it up. And after we put this together, it's going to cook at 350 for about 30 minutes. It'll be ready to go. Perfect.
Again, great for all you busy moms and dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles. Check this recipe out. It's fun, it's simple, and it's good. We'll be right back.